Good evening. I'd like to call the Town of Delafield Board of Supervisor meeting for Tuesday, May 12th to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You please call the roll.
Supervisor Mahoney-Ogden. Supervisor Miller. Here. Supervisor Wolfley is absent. Supervisor Berkowitz.
Present.
Chairman Kranek.
Present.
Thank you.
Item 4, citizens' comments. Public comments from citizens regarding items on or not on the agenda. The board may not engage in the discussion with the citizens making the comments. Individual presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Citizens shall follow the rules set forth in section 2.04, paren 1, paren D of the town code. Is there anyone who would like to make any citizens' comments this evening? Seeing no citizens' comments, I'm going to close the citizens' comments period, and I would look for a motion to approve the April 27th, 2026 town board meetings minutes.
I motion to approve April 27, 2026 town board minutes.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. The minutes are approved. Next item, item 6, look for a motion on approval for accounts payable and payroll.
Okay. Motion to approve payroll check registered May 8th of total of $15,852.79, and check register May 12th of checks 69507 to 69535 with a total of $143,367.37.
A second.
Motion is second for accounts payable and payroll. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Item 7, communication. The 2026 April Sheriff's Report is in the packet. Item B, the 2026 January Assessor Sales Report was included in the packet. Looking to get these more timely from our assessor. Sounds like they're having some issues connecting to the new Department of Revenue system. Item C, the Silver Naval resurfacing update. The latest update came out late yesterday. It was a change in the traffic pattern with access to Cross Creek Court and Day Springs. Until they finish the culvert over by the Prairie Waldorf School. They need to come down Gulf and access from the Maple side. Item D, our referendum website. If the administrator has anything to add to that.
So I did take the recommendations from our town attorney on the changes that needed to be made to the website. The website is up and available for residents to view. There was an article in the Freeman about our website today. I believe
it was yesterday, I think.
Yesterday. And anybody who wants any information on it can go out there. We cannot put anything like you need to vote yes or no or sway or put strange language in there. So everything is very just factual and to the point. So if anybody has any questions about it, they can give me a call at Town Hall. Otherwise, if any outside groups want to look at it or the media, they can do so at any time.
Item E, our spring 2026 newsletter. Now live and available. It's really helpful and a lot of good information in there. So if you haven't checked it out, go out to the website and check it out. And what are we planning? Quarterly? We're planning?
Yeah, it's a quarterly newsletter. It's called the Delafield Quarterly. I did get a list of all of our current e-Notify subscribers and let them know to go back out to our website and subscribe to the newsletter. If people don't subscribe to the newsletter, we're still going to put blasts out on Facebook and on, it'll just be available on our website for anybody to view. The current version has 3 pages of information that's pertinent to this season. So each season that it comes out will have information based on what they need right before it happens. So there is referendum information on the most, the first version of the Delafield Quarterly.
And that leads nicely into item F, just a reminder to go out to the website and sign up for the e-notify feature of the website to be alerted of things like when the new newsletter gets published, town board agendas and minutes, plan commission agendas and minutes. It is important that once you go out there to input your email address in there to ensure that you click accept when you get an email confirming that you registered, so that your registration actually goes through. I don't think a lot of people are doing that, or that step is being missed, to make sure that they're clicking on that confirmation email that they get through the website when they sign up their information. And then I just want to add item G, just a reminder of the scam warning that's going around with people sending out fake invoices. It's happening to a lot of municipalities here in southeastern Wisconsin. Just a reminder that Town Hall only accepts cash or checks. We don't take credit cards or ACHs. And if you receive anything suspicious or have any questions, please call the Town Hall before you send money or click on a link. We don't want people to be out money, and we're not going to send you and ask you to ACH stuff. And just call and confirm, make sure it's legitimate. Item 8, unfinished business for discussion, possible action, presentation by Planner Lato of the plumbing within accessory buildings policy as requested at the March 10th, 2026 meeting. The policy was adopted by the Plan Commission at its March 3rd, 2026 meeting. Turn it over to Planner Lato.
Sure. So, it's my understanding you all discussed this following the Plan Commission recommendation and had some just overall questions about why this was coming up. So just to give kind of a background, earlier this year in January or so, there was an accessory building that had applied for a building, or someone had applied for a building permit for an accessory building that contained a bathroom. And LPSD actually stopped the permit because they were on sewer and they did not allow plumbing within accessory buildings. That prompted a conversation that I had with the building inspector about what is a town's policy with plumbing in accessory buildings. In my previous role, that was always a big question of, especially in agricultural buildings, pole barns, why are there bathrooms being proposed in there? And then with COVID came a lot of just detached garages where people were creating kind of hangout spaces, you know, to get a little bit of separation, to hang out in their outbuildings or just even their detached garage. So he said, well, it was his understanding from the prior inspectors that the plumbing was allowed, limited plumbing was allowed within accessory buildings. And that's how it's always been done here. And that's what he does to keep it fair between all the zoning districts. I then went over to the code and showed him that there's language in there that really would prohibit most accessory buildings, all accessory buildings really, from having plumbing. The town has made some interpretations in the past that does allow certain buildings, or that has allowed some buildings to have a bathroom within it. So it was kind of time to start looking at this again. The first question that we asked the Plan Commission was whether or not they wanted to create a policy document to be a little bit less formal, but mostly give the building inspector guidance on how he should be treating these types of applications. So for the most part, what this policy does is clarify what Mike has already been enforcing, but then also just kind of strengthen the language a little bit so that there really isn't a lot of pushback or gray for him. This is just the policy. And then there was an added discussion with LPSD in there as well about what they were going to do. And then having a deed restriction so that the next owner knows that, yes, they were allowed a bathroom. The bathroom that they put in, which would be limited, usually that would just be a sink and a toilet, no shower. That's what it should be. So if upon sale they find there's a full bathroom and a full kitchen, those new owners might know that that was illegally put in, because the deed restriction should also pop up upon a title search, right? So that's kind of the purpose behind that. So the policy document that was drafted here is just trying to memorialize that and kind of create that purpose and intent section. And then the policy standards, which would include the limited plumbing. You get one sink and one toilet. So if you're trying to create a workshop, for example, you need to make a decision. Do you want to have a work basin sink, or do you want to have a sink in your bathroom if you're going to have a toilet? Or you could just have a regular work basin sink and no toilet. So it's kind of a, yes, we understand that there needs to be some flexibility with plumbing, but it should only be to a limited degree. Then there was a clarification on pool houses. Mike had been permitting pool houses with a full, allowing a full bathroom. And after some discussion we decided to scale that back a little bit. If you're going to have a full bathroom, the shower needs to be on the outside of the building, only accessible that way, so that it's not turning into a pseudo living unit, especially a pool house. That is really kind of the perfect vehicle for an accessory dwelling unit, which is not quite where we're at here yet. The deed restriction requirement, which I just talked about, sanitary approval, either from Waukesha County Environmental Health if they have a septic system, or LPSC if they are on sewer. Life safety requirements, after polling various building inspectors, they had all noted that there really wasn't any requirement in a garage to have any smoke detectors, which I didn't love. So I just had recommended that we include some kind of life safety requirement, that if it is a garage that's being designed to be a hangout space or just kind of extra space where people will be lounging, eating, sleeping, because there's plumbing in there as well, that smoke detectors be required. It's not that hard to add that in if you're building a brand new structure. And then just kind of clarifying again, prohibited uses, kitchen and kitchenettes, and then business operations. So that was the discussion at the Plan Commission level. There's just a template deed restriction here that I put together as well, just kind of to memorialize that. So when someone would apply for a building permit, if there was plumbing in there, Mike would make sure that it meets this policy, and then I would help fill out this deed restriction, give it to them. The owners would need to have it recorded before they can get their permit. That's part one. Part two is what your code actually says. So I made this table for discussion last month when I was supposed to be here. Apologies that I didn't quite make it with the weather. But the zoning districts, I've just laid them all out and noted what their plumbing policy, or what the plumbing actually says in that specific district. So in the R1 districts, you have no business, sanitary facilities, or living quarters in private garages. Now, a lot of times people try to distinguish between a private garage and an agricultural building. So I think that's where this can start to get a little bit gray, is what are we trying to talk about here? What do you want to regulate? And as we kind of go down through this list, like in the A1, where in A2, it just says no business or sanitary facilities for private garages. That's where that question is going to come up, is whether or not it is actually applicable for things like agricultural buildings. In my opinion, it is. Elsewhere in the code, it says you can't have the sanitary facility, or I'm sorry, that's kind of a different thing. It's without having a house on property, but then plumbing should not be allowed in there either. So accessory buildings in that A1, A2, I just also put on the side here, accessory buildings, including stables, barns, silos, poultry houses, farms, storage buildings are listed separately from private garages. So in that particular case, it doesn't actually say no sanitary facilities there. But A3, no business, sanitary facilities, or living quarters. B2, it's kind of getting into a little bit of a different area, but it doesn't discuss the plumbing, but lists garages for storage of vehicles, so I would interpret that as a zoning administrator, no plumbing would be allowed. The sanitary facilities wording could be perceived as either no bathroom, or it could actually just mean like no plumbing. I would take it to mean no bathroom, so someone could still have a work basin in a workshop. Plumbers will tell you that's also a slippery slope, because once plumbing is installed in the building, it's really easy to go back in and just add whatever you want. So it's a hard topic. Lots of communities have a hard time discussing this, which is why they actually usually just have policies. The town code has a lot more in it, really, already, to prohibit plumbing facilities in accessory buildings. So I kind of see this as two paths to take, depending on what you're looking for and how you want Mike as the building inspector, and when he does these permit reviews to proceed, one being a policy which provides more flexibility for people and also seems to memorialize what has been happening just by default here through permit review over the last, I don't know exactly how long. Or just to scratch that and follow the code with the clarification being, what do we think that sanitary facilities is referring to?
More of a case by case, you mean?
Like if is a sanitary facility specifically related to a bathroom or plumbing. So again, if you had like, it's nuanced. If you have a pole barn that you're building and you're gonna work on your cars and you want a sink in there, is that considered a sanitary facility or not? It's hooked up to something, most likely. It depends on, I talked to environmental health at the county and they said, well, it depends how close it is to their existing tank and what their land is like. Like, there's a lot of caveats on whether or not they would actually require you to hook up a drain in your garage to your sanitary facility. What I heard from them was most of the time they wouldn't. It just drains to daylight out in the open. So to me, that would probably be okay. But again, it's a little bit of a slippery slope then. If people are going to do things without permits, but people do things without permits all the time. So,
Well, then, and just a little bit of history, you're right, the reason this, because on Plan Commission, we did spend it, are you done on it? But just, you good? Okay, because I was just, we did talk about it quite a bit. I mean, and I think there was really a mix of opinions. That's why you're right, it's a slippery slope. I mean, I think personally, I was like, I felt people should just come to you as an as-needed basis. That was my original opinion. But then I think it sounded like Mike just wanted some consistency, so then we just spent some time trying to come up with something that was manageable, especially knowing that you hit it on the bottom. It's, people are using their properties differently, the man caves of different places where they, hang out. So then I think we just tried to offer something within reason without having full bathrooms.
Are they using them differently, or are they using this as an excuse to say they're using them differently to get a bathroom in there? I don't know anyone who uses their garage space differently today than they did pre-2020.
Well, and this wouldn't necessarily be garage, this would have to
Well,
be like
any
Sure.
accessory building. I don't know that person. I don't know that person in this community.
I think it
also-
started, didn't it, like how, this whole thing started, I believe, part of the reason was because I think LPSD brought to our attention because there's a spot on Maple Avenue.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't that they were against it, I think that's somebody there who was applying for a permit, or already doing it. And so he wasn't that he was, you can't do this, he just wanted to know, is the town okay with this? Then that's fine with me, then I can charge for it, and I know how many roofs it's
Yeah.
gonna be. It wasn't like he was saying, we don't want it, he just wanted us to say, okay, we're fine with it, and then he'll collect his fee. That's how I understood it.
Originally, their policy was that they did not allow hookups for accessory buildings at all. They've never allowed them. But he was like, well, if I think about it, it could be okay, but they wanted to decide if they should charge for it or not. Which I think the answer was yes, they were going to, yeah.
Yeah, they were
The answer would
basically
be
gonna
yes.
take whatever policy we
Yeah.
decided and try to figure out what we were gonna do, but.
Right, but historically, they didn't allow it.
Correct.
Yeah.
And while the northern half of the town is an LPSD, you got the whole southern half of the town that is on Mountain Septic, and I think Supervisor Berkowitz, when this first came to the town board, you had mentioned and, really raised my concern and said, well, does this mean now that every detached garage could potentially have a bathroom in it? And that was really concerning to me because reading the policy on face value that came out of the Plan Commission, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah, a half bath.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
I think it's a slippery slope. I know there's a bunch of homes where people tool on their cars and they're in the older community and it would be nice to have a bathroom up there. I'm afraid of this being abused. The second you allow water in there, what does it allow for? Even a pool house, for example, with an exterior door will nod our head. And then how hard is it to have a carpenter come in and
Sure.
Even keep the exterior door, but have an interior door as well.
Sure.
So, this just opens, it opens Pandora's box.
Agree with you. Supervisor.
We'll be dealing with a lot of people who are gonna be coming in, who are gonna wanna write their own rules and do their own things, and we know what the result will be. at the end. We know we'll find.
Like, what would it be? I'm just curious. I'm
But
thinking, I'm
you-
still trying to follow why this is, could be, why would
You're
it be
gonna
so
find
terrible?
People that are bending the rules, they're not following the rules. In a pool house example, there will be an interior door, potentially a separate living quarters, potentially additional shower added after the fact. I mean, it's endless possibilities here.
But if they're paying for that extra hookup, why do you care? I mean, if they're paying LPSD for a hookup, or they're they're
Okay,
dealing with their mount.
so-
I'm just playing
So
devil's
now-
advocate.
Now we're allowing water, okay, let's just say running water. So can all boathouses now just have, just a sink? I just want a sink in a boathouse. This is gonna be covered, it's an accessory building.
But that's another,
We don't
isn't it-
know.
didn't we say that's another whole jurisdiction
Yep,
anyhow? That's
so
the county.
just-
Running, but I just want a
But
sink.
it's the county.
Yeah,
You-
so.
You see where I'm going with this. Now I
Yes.
have a sink in there. Okay, it's done,
Yeah.
but now I have a bathroom in there, I have a shower in there, I have everything else in there, and we're trying to avoid these
Yes.
things.
But
I
we
think
don't have
the-
jurisdiction over the boathouses anyhow.
Yeah, just
Well, now that's- Yes.
just for
okay.
clarification, yes, the state law doesn't allow any plumbing in boathouses anyways. So if you see plumbing in a brand new boathouse, it is illegal.
Only in the town.
In the town.
In the town, yes, in the town. I think how I have always understood it, the issue with plumbing in accessory buildings really doesn't have anything to do with like the life safety element of it, right? Or that the proper, LPSD is getting their fee, or that environmental health has signed off. That's wonderful. The issue is use. So you're zoned for certain uses, right?
And is it also going to be commercial use?
Yeah, that's, in my experience, that's actually the bigger issue. But in the south half of the town, I could see that happening, and when people build big pole barns and stuff, usually the bigger that they build them, there's a reason for that. But that is the issue generally with a lot of the communities in the area with the plumbing and accessory buildings. It's more about how is that building then going to be used, and is it going to then not comply with their zoning district? I don't know of any communities in Waukesha County yet that allow for any sort of accessory dwelling unit. If people were ready to have that type of conversation, this would be a very different path, because it will lead to that eventually, of guest homes.
Sure.
Kids coming home from college, or people, why wouldn't you do that if you could, right? So that's where it gets a little bit slippery, the use provisions.
I just think it's a slippery slope. How many people do we have wanting to do this too? Because
Yeah, what's the
our
volume of
current
permits?
code has been working for a number of years. If there are an abundance of people coming to us that
Mm-hmm.
want to change, I think we look at undertaking it. If it's one or two individuals.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that we need to make this change, because it sounds like we agree what it's going to lead to.
Well, just to clarify, this policy document, for the most part, is already what's been happening for a long time. So plumbing has been allowed in accessory buildings by the building inspector and the last building inspector for a period of time. But the code, so I think that's why he was like, well, I just want clarification on what we're doing, because that was always his understanding from the prior building inspector, is that, yes, it's allowed, but it's limited. But the code, to me, is pretty clear. It's basically a prohibition on plumbing, which I think, again, my only question would be the sanitary facilities piece, if we're including that as just any sort of plumbing, period, or bathrooms. That's always my little bit of a gray that someone could twist.
And what we're saying is the plumbing can turn into a bathroom down the road.
It could. But it also seems reasonable to allow someone to have a wash sink in their pool building. So it's up to you of what you think is reasonable in these buildings. I did put the size parameters in the zoning districts, just so you could sort of see what the max is. Most people aren't necessarily proposing their own pool building that's larger than 3,000, 3,500 on larger lots, which is obviously very big in the A1, A2. But most of the codes, most of the districts limit it to 1,000 square feet total, 960 max per building for a private garage.
So if we do nothing, which is what, that was my original thing when we started this discussion, but again, the group, plan commission just thought we should have something, that it doesn't really help our building inspector. He just kind of just goes with what's in our
Well,
existing
I
code.
think what it would do, if the do nothing option, which is a totally fine option, would result in me sitting down with Mike and kind of going through this table and just trying to help explain the different districts and what is or is not allowed when he gets a permit for an accessory building.
Or if somebody has a case situation that they would like to come in and talk to somebody, then we would see that if they come in, they would have to say, I have an in-law, I'd like to have an in-law suite, and I'd like to put a bathroom in this garage space that's, right, that's what they'd have to come in and get.
Yeah, although if I recall, I don't know how long you've all been here, Ed, you might remember this, but I think when Delafield stripped the CU section down, you removed the in-law CU, and now they're not permitted, I don't think, actually. I'm pretty sure they're not. So I don't know that situation would,
We recently had an in-law suite in the last couple of years that came in, but we made sure that they didn't have,
it just is not a CU anymore.
yeah, well,
So you're,
I don't
okay.
remember what it
Attached to the house, though.
was a part of the house, and we made sure
Yeah.
that they had an
Oh,
interior
yeah,
door.
I remember that, yeah.
Okay.
That wasn't that long ago, you're right. So we did have something.
Okay, but attached to the house?
Yep.
Yeah, so there wouldn't be a situation where someone would propose a detached in-law unit,
Right.
because that would just be an accessory dwelling unit.
Well, I think the code is pretty clear, and I think the
Yeah.
policy should mirror the code that's been in effect for
Yeah.
quite some time.
I would say you don't even need a policy, it's just follow the code,
Yes.
period.
Yep.
So,
But we're not doing anything with deed restrictions or anything, because we don't, but where it is allowed, hang on here. So,
It's only allowed in the A1, look, according to the
And then-
table, or A1 and A2, according to the table I'm looking at.
well, yeah, it just doesn't state,
What motion are we looking to make?
do you need to make a motion at all?
I kind of came along with that. Like I said, I started one way, and then by the time with discussion, when looking at the policy, I know my only other change was just to say that it had to be paid by the owner. I know we're not motioning this right now, but that was my notes, just for the heck of it, on number 3, to just clarify that was paid by the owner, if we were taking any part of this, but otherwise, if we do
Don't
nothing.
necessarily need a motion if
If
you're
we
going
don't
to
do anything.
keep what we have
So if
existing.
we're doing nothing.
Yes.
Right.
So
I think,
basically-
yeah, I think the direction is just to
Right.
Follow the code.
follow the code and have.
But do you want a definition for
Sanitary.
sanitary facility? Do you want them to?
I do.
Okay, so do you want sanitary facility to mean plumbing in general or a bathroom?
So you're saying at A1, on the bottom there, when it says does not state no sanitary, so somebody could have, just that last sentence, I'm just trying to see what you mean by that. Does not state no sanitary
It
facility.
lists private accessory buildings separately from private garages. So it's just in a different section, and it does not reiterate that plumbing, or that no sanitary facilities are permitted. It doesn't restate the same language, which is a little bit questionable for me.
Do you want us to also then, if you want to keep the existing code, direct staff to fix the current code to indicate accessory buildings should have no sanitary facilities to make it all the same?
Consistency.
So if somebody's on an A1 property, they can, no business or accessory buildings.
That I would need a motion for, or a direction for, and we can do the motion on that actual ordinance.
So neither of them can have sanitary facilities in A1 or 2, right?
Right now, it doesn't say no sanitary facilities under the accessory buildings section.
Well, I mean, if you're in a barn, you're gonna need a sink, I mean.
Yes,
I-
but do
I
you
mean,
need
I-
a toilet, though?
No, but I mean, I think that's what you're saying, is
Okay.
and actually, yeah, I mean, if the barn's far away, yeah, and some
the
people
w-
might say, yes, I'd like a toilet
Plumbing
too.
in general indicates just a sink versus full bathroom?
Yeah,
Plumbing in general.
that's the thing that
That's
I'm
the
having
question.
a hard
Yeah.
time with.
Yeah.
I think a sink is definitely reasonable versus a sink and a toilet.
So how do we specify just a sink?
And that's what we did, that was what
Right
the,
now.
I think we
Just like
define what
that.
a sanitary facility is, that a sanitary
How do
facility
you
is
define
just,
the sanitary
In
Just a
this-
facility?
sink.
It's just a sink in this,
Sink?
in this case.
So you're gonna have an A1 property, and it's, you know, you got a faraway barn, and you're not gonna let that farmer have a bathroom in there. I'm just, or
that's
somebody
how I
has,
see it personally.
somebody
That's my
has an
opinion.
A1 property, and that's just where they work on their cars, and I mean, that's where I guess I feel like if their bathroom is very far away from the house, then,
They've
Yeah,
done
and
it
it's on
this long
A1.
without it.
what's that?
I said they've gone this long without
Well,
it.
and that's what I'm
then.
still trying to figure out. So I thought you just said it was allowed. That's where I'm just this last sentence here. So no sanitary it says, it
not-
does not say that.
Doesn't
It doesn't,
say.
it's not clear,
So it's-
basically. It's not consistent with.
I'm trying to find this.
So I'm kind of hearing that we are considering a sanitary facility just a sink, and that we should bring back an ordinance that, for consistency, says no sanitary facilities within accessory buildings in the A1, A2. Is that kind of where it's headed?
Do you feel they
don't
need
really-
a bathroom? I mean,
I-
I don't see any, I haven't heard one person.
Well, and I
come
think
in
that's
here
where it
say
could
they
be,
need
you
a
know, so I
bathroom.
mean, that's where could somebody come in then and just say, you know, I'm here and I'm gonna be at this place I work half the day here, I'd like to be able to go to the bathroom. I mean, is that where they could come in then and ask for a variance?
The use variance.
Use variance?
It's, yeah, and that's not,
No,
no,
okay.
I don't want to do that.
No
That's-
use variances, okay. So no, it would not be something open to special
That
exceptions?
would not be permitted, right?
And that's what I think we should do, is just look at it at a case-by basis, like we looked at this in-law suite, it was a specific thing. I know that that's not exactly here, but we looked at it separately.
We wouldn't be able to do that under this.
I personally
you
want to
wanna-
stick with just a
You,
sink, honestly.
you want to do nothing and
Just
then
sink.
review it case-by-case basis?
That's one option. I actually said I ended up being okay with this after a while. Originally was case-by-case basis, but if you're saying if we do nothing, we won't even be able to look at a case basis, then I feel like we need to have something in writing that if somebody has a situation that they can come forward, which is what probably over the years we've had this, and I'm sure there's been some people, or they just, is your point is they just do it anyhow?
I think
That-
that I think the building inspector would look to see what was reasonable in a barn like that, because this is what it says. Permitted accessory uses, number one, private detached garages not involving the conduct of business and not including any sanitary facilities, period. Number two, accessory buildings,
I get the
including but not
garages.
limited to stables, barns, silos, poultry houses, farm storage buildings, and other farm-related buildings. So it doesn't have that caveat, and not including any sanitary facilities in that section. You see what I'm saying? So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle, but what you're asking for is if they want staff to fix the ordinance so it's consistent in
Right.
that section, right?
Right.
Yeah, so the question is whether or not, what would be appropriate in accessory buildings?
Yeah, I think
No, it's not the town of Delafield, but I mean, I'm thinking of a few people that have buildings, and one's in Genesee and the other one's in, actually, I think maybe it's Genesee, maybe one's in Wales too, and I know that's a different municipality, but it's not, but it isn't, again, they'd be zoned, I'm guessing they're zoned ag. They're not, it's not their residence, but, so they really don't have any bathroom in there, you know, that's where they hang out. It's a hangout space. It's a you know, I mean, it's a pickleball court. It's a hangout in there. So, again, it's another municipality, but like, I'm thinking if that was a town and somebody bought a building and that's where they're gonna hang out and they've got the money and they wanna put that in there, why wouldn't we let them go to the bathroom?
But
I
this
think
is.
we're also like, oh, they're gonna make a house, they're gonna make, I feel like then we're just being too restrictive. It's like, I mean, if they have a building and they wanna use it, that's just my gut feeling. is
Yeah,
we should let them
this
come in and-
accessory building, though, to me, how it's saying, what it's saying, these are ag buildings. These are not someone who wants to build a pole barn to hang out in.
Right. These are used
Stables,
for
barns, silos,
agricultural.
poultry houses, farm storage buildings.
So the definition's pretty clear, right?
It could probably use a little massaging, but it's not bad, yes.
We could do nothing and not put the sanitary facilities in that accessories area to leave room for interpretation, but still say sanitary facilities are a sink.
I think we need to clean it up and make it very clear that it's just a sink, that it's no,
And you want just a sink in the A1, A2 accessory too, or not?
So for the people who have the pool houses, just before we answer your question, I'm sorry, Michelle, but,
That's okay.
so I'm just thinking about the pool house people.
Yeah.
So now they're all full of chlorine and they can't come in and rinse off. I don't know, isn't that, I guess I always just figured, I don't have a pool house, but isn't that what people have in their pool houses? They have showers so that they can rinse off? Now we're saying they can't?
Yeah, but technically, we've always been saying they can't.
And then, but,
In the like, it hasn't been permitted that way. I think Mike said that he's done one, maybe two.
Yeah,
It's
it
been a
wasn't
while.
many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not uncommon in towns.
Right.
I mean,
It's a slippery slope, and unfortunately, you give people an inch, they take a mile these days, so we need to, make sure that we don't open a Pandora's box and be consistent. I mean, I thought we were always consistent, and we didn't allow plumbing in accessory buildings, and I think we need to redefine that and make sure that's clear, that we don't allow plumbing in accessory buildings.
So I hear 3 one sinks and 1 not one sink. And the yes to adding the no sanitary facilities in the accessory buildings as well on A1, A2, and no. Is that correct? Ed, do you want to, or Chairman Kranek, do you want to do a motion on this one to be clear, or do you want to
Yeah,
just direct staff?
I'll make a motion to direct staff to clean up the ordinance, to better define what sanitary facilities mean in the A1, A2 district, to mean just a sink.
to mean just a sink.
Mean just a
To
sink.
mean, okay, to confirm.
To confirm
To
and-
allow a sink.
To define it that they're only allowed a sink, nothing else.
A second.
Okay. Do you also want the A1, A2 accessory buildings to be more clear about no sanitary facility?
Yes.
Do you also agree with that? Okay, great. Okay,
Motion is second on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item, item B, consideration of an amended intermunicipal agreement with Lake Country Fire and Rescue. Joe Wolfley was unfortunately unable to be here this evening, but he's happy that all 7 communities were able to come together to get an agreement that works. He looks forward to LCFR continuing to grow and provide excellent service for all 7 communities involved and support the IMA amendment before the board this evening. The fire chief is here and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that when and if the town of Delafield acts on this evening, the only outstanding municipality to act on this would be the Village of Oconomowoc Lake, who's scheduled to act on this next Monday night at their meeting.
That's correct, sir.
And this intermunicipal agreement, which we've spent years negotiating, codifies the funding formula change that the city requested that we worked with the policy forum with. It ensures that LCFR gets the staff that they need, that eliminates the brownouts, continues to improve response times, and continues to deliver services to the residents of the town of Delafield, which is mandated under state law that we have to provide ambulance service. Does the chief have anything else he'd like to add?
No, I mean, I think you hit every point, is that this has been a long time coming. Lots of really smart and intelligent people have been working on it for a very long time to get it to where it's at today. And you all should be proud of where it's at. And, Ed, I can't thank you enough for your leadership along the way, and Joe's over the last couple months, to get this thing through the finish line, because it's a great document.
That's great news.
Are we just motioning to accept this amendment? Is that what we're doing tonight?
We're doing?
Yeah, motion.
I would like that.
Yeah, motion to approve the amended IMA with Lake Country Fire and Rescue.
Are you motioning, or are you just telling us what? Okay, I will motion to accept the amendment for the intermunicipal agreement with Lake Country Fire and Rescue.
A second.
Motion is second to adopt the amended IMA with LCFR. All in favor, say aye.
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 Good job.
Opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9A, new business, the Welshire Farm Development Agreement for Phase 3.
this, or are we talking about it? Sure. Want to talk about it? No. Okay. Okay, this is for the next upcoming phase of Wellshire Farm that's coming up, and it is, they don't even have the street name on here. As you're coming to the entrance where the clubhouse is, this road part is going up, veering to the right, and it's actually a pretty small stretch of road, but it veers up to the right as it starts to then go north and east to the lots that they'll be doing. We don't have a final plat yet. They've been working with Dave with engineering on the road plans and the grading and stormwater and all of that. But the final plat, they said that they would be submitting this spring, which is now. So not quite sure when that's going to be coming. But the town attorney has reviewed this, and Newman and the town attorney have both come to an agreement on it. There's some updated language from recent law changes that are taking effect July 1st from Act 68 about when they are allowed to pull building permits, essentially, and how the town can, and the financial guarantee process. So was a state law change that we'll be talking about relatively soon, bringing forward some code amendment changes and just more details on that before you. But this agreement incorporates some of those changes required by state law. Other than that, it looks the same as the rest of them.
Are you able to give us an update on the tree removal? I understand that the tree removal is somebody's watching over it.
Yes. Yeah. So Waukesha County. Oh, thank you. Jason Fruth and Cassie Slotty, a senior land use specialist, who is a conservationist as well. That's what her degree is in. They went and walked the site with Ryan Fritsch from Newman back at the end of March, early April. And they went through and marked all the trees and saw which ones they were going to keep, because Newman originally, this corner has been a discussion for years of what they wanted to do. They were first coming in and saying, well, it's all, we're going to just get rid of it all because it's all invasive. And at the county at the time, I don't know what at the town conversation, but it was just wait, you need to actually get a plan. Part of the town code requirements were to have an open space and natural resource protection plan. So they do actually have that document prepared by a qualified professional that talks about how they're going to maintain all their landscaping and then that area as well. It is full of a lot of invasive species. And you have to remember, when invasive species gets really big and you start to remove it, it's going to look like you've completely clear cut a lot. There was not that much worth saving, but they did propose a plan showing which ones they were going to save. Jason and Cassie went out there with Ryan, walked, verified which ones were to be saved, and then they are requiring a replanting plan as well. And they're looking, so at a minimum, they're looking for 3 bur oak and 2 shagbark hickories with maximum separation between themselves and the box elders. They need to keep the site conditions into consideration, and if it dies, it needs to be replaced. All replacement trees need to be 2 inches diameter breast height. The county naturalist, Julie Robson, recommends a prairie condition in this location. It looks like woodland now, but it is recent woodland, and it's, again, just very overgrown just due to lack of people taking care of it. So she does actually recommend a prairie condition in this location, and
I know we don't have our thing up, but like, which exact location when you're saying this location?
the corner, that's being cleared right now.
Gulf and Elmhurst?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
So it's not really the true corner, it's the,
Well, the corner of this development.
of the development, yeah. it's
The
part of
outlot.
development, Okay.
So she gave him a list of species with forbs, sedges, and shrubs. They also want to see low-lying grasses and shrubs, and no mow varieties would be okay. They want to make sure that the species are good for HOAs to maintain. or one single property owner if that CSM ever finalizes, which they'll have to come back and get approval for that again. So they are staying on top of that. Jason, Fruth, and myself spent a lot of time actually reviewing these natural plans and the open space plans and the buffer plans and all of that for that perimeter around it to make sure, because I had always felt that this corner was just kind of the leftover corner that was going to be forgotten about. And it's not yet, but it's just slow years later. So that's what I know. I can find out more.
Well, because I remember the original plans, there were certain tree lines they were supposed to maintain too and keep.
Yeah, so there are, in the open space and natural resource protection plan, there are specific areas that identify the trees that they need to keep. A line of those trees is like within the boulevard entrance, and then some of those are also within the trees that they are saving. But it's not that many. I don't know the exact number, I didn't count them, but I can forward you all the pictures that he submitted to the county if you'd like to just kind of see them and what their vantage points were and why they were proposing what they were proposing.
A lot of buckthorn and stuff in there, you know, like I know when I drove past, I was kind of in shock. I was like, oh, the trees are coming down, and then I was like, oh, that's box elders, and
Yeah,
so I got it, but I was
Yeah.
waiting for my phone to ring, so.
yes, so.
And I think that would just be nice to, when they do things like this, just to, if we could get a copy of that walk so that we know, like I know I had to ask the question, sounds like Ed asked the question too, because we're getting asked it. So if there's a way when they do something, an on-site thing, like who's following all up on this, so we know, and we're not
Sure,
questioning who's supposed to be doing it. And
Yeah.
that it's being done, someone's
someone's
watching it.
doing it. If the county's the right person to do it, I'm not sure, but I'm glad that they are, so. They're willing to do it.
You know, in terms of some of the other things you had mentioned about the plantings, since we're talking about plantings. And again, I know that this is, I just thought this was going to be the opportunity to kind of go, okay, we're in it so far, how's it going? What's going well, what's not going well? We just talked about the trees, it's helped to have some communication about what's being taken down and why, but I need some of the other things. I know that when we talked, we didn't get very far with Newman with that Elmhurst. I mean, I know we had residents that were upset that, you know, they took the time to put the berm on the expressway, but the people who had built the berms, who had had their own berms on Elmhurst, were being penalized basically because they took the time to make their own berm. So I know that the developer said, well, there's already berms over there, which means, so everybody else driving down the road is now going to look at all the houses, but these guys did the berms, so we don't really have to. So I knew that they understood that we wanted to have some undulation. I looked at the plans. I know that there's something there. And he knows that we'd like to. He said there wasn't a lot of room. I'm just kind of going on record for saying that that stuff along Elmhurst, that the residents made it very clear that having some sort of undulation, you know, I mean, we wanted berms, but having something there is still, especially since you said you haven't seen a final site plan, that's still something that I know residents were very much asking for and upset that it was not there.
I think part of that's because that part's not developed yet.
That's why, yeah, that's very.
So we're not even talking about that now at all.
No, I don't know when they're going to develop that part.
That was one of the last phases, but to your point, the buffer along Elmhurst was always a point of contention because it was a lot smaller than the buffer along the rest of it because of those mature trees that were along the
On
property.
the very north end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But most of it, there's only trees on the north end. Most of it doesn't have any trees. But the neighbors on the other side do have berms, but now everybody driving by there's not gonna be a berm. That's what didn't make any sense. So I think so now isn't the time to talk about it, but that's an issue. I think construction traffic, how are we doing on enforcing it? I know that Buildings and Grounds at St. Anthony has said that they're definitely seeing increased trucks coming by. Are we still gonna, I mean, who's monitoring that to make sure that the construction entrance is not gonna be off of Elmhurst?
Well, it shouldn't be coming off of Oakton either.
That's what I'm saying. So what are we doing about that? I know are those in the, we talked about it, but is it any place that restrictions on construction access? That Elmhurst, the access to Elmhurst should be closed, like actually with like a concrete barrier and stuff? Is that someplace?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I didn't think that the idea was a concrete barrier, because then the residents would not be able to get
Well,
access?
once the first person gets occupancy, then we take away the barrier. But in the meantime, we should have a barrier there.
I haven't seen anything in here that specifically said barrier. I do know that they've been putting signs up that say no trucks, but
I'm
I
just,
didn't
I'm
see
just
anything about
reporting what
barrier.
actually are,
Sure.
what's being seen. So I'm asking about enforcement of that and maybe something more with restrictions on that. That was an issue, the berm. The lighting is my big thing, and I did speak out, I did inquire about the existing lighting that are on the homes that are on there are exactly what we as a town tried not to do. And we missed in the beginning, and we have on record that Brian said, as soon as the town puts in a lighting ordinance, we will abide by it. So the lighting that's on these existing structures are on 24/7, they're not shielded. It's exactly what we asked not to do. So for whatever going forward, I want to just make sure we put in any kind of a motion that the lighting plan has to be followed. That was a really big deal here for our residents to not have this look like an airport. And if people can't turn off their lights, and right now it looks like they can't, they're just on. So maybe we as a town need to look at dusk to dawn was designed for landscape lighting, but not right now. When you drive by, I don't even think they can turn off their lights because every single person have their lights on.
The dusk to dawn verbiage is not in the
Correct.
lighting plan, so we can't ask them to do that, or, to follow our ordinance.
So I'm
and
saying maybe
then
we need to
add
revisit
something
it
on.
in a lighting ordinance.
They
'cause-
didn't put that requirement in their HOA documents. They took that out
I-
of the dusk to dawn requirement that they have in other documents. But I share Supervisor Mahoney Ogden's concerns as we start building more to where the population is along Elmhurst, that this thing can't be lit up. They need to be neighborly, and they need to point their lights down, and they need to keep their lights down, because I'm not taking the phone calls from the people who are most vocal about this development that live off of Elmhurst and Gulf View there, about the lights. They need to be cognizant of the lighting plan moving forward in future phases of this development, and I don't want to see the cheap contractor grade, outdoor fixtures. They need to direct their lights down and really ensure that, what's lit is what's needed, and not create these halos.
And even poor residents can't even turn their darn lights off, it looks like. Even if they want to turn them off, the way they're all, it's just every single one is on, which means they can't turn them off.
Are these like the?
These are the ones
like,
right next to the
street
doors.
posts?
No, they're not, they don't have posts, but these are the ones literally right next to the door. If you drive by at night, everybody has two lights on next to
Like
their
they're on
house.
their front porches?
They're on their
like
front porch
okay.
next to their door, like they can't even turn them off. It's like, it's just too coincidental that everybody has them on, which means they're obviously dusk to dawn, and they're not shielded. And it's just, if you look at them, it's just exactly what we tried not to do, and that's what I feel like. I know there was a lot of transitions when we were doing this, and Dan left, and Tim left, and we did it, but I know Brian said that he will follow what we put in place. We have him on record for saying it. So we just need to then clarify, and because if this is what they think it is, it's not what the town had in mind.
Do we know how many houses have been built, roughly? We have
There's
to throw a
enough, and they're
number?
coming up, it's happening every day. You go by, there's,
Yeah, they're behind schedule on what they originally had proposed, but I would estimate there's about 40 in there.
40?
Yeah.
and the only
are
ones that don't have the
are-
lights on are the ones when there's nobody in.
So that's about just under a fifth of the total.
So are we too late to do, I think the dusk to dawn, it's one thing to have dusk to dawn landscape lighting. But dusk to dawn, the way it's being used now in the development is wrong. So what can we do to stop this for the future? Do we need to go back to our lighting ordinance? It's
Dusk
literally,
to
if
dawn
with all these
wasn't-
houses up there, it is truly it's devastating.
So the dusk to dawn was not included in the ordinance that was proposed. We can't now go back and change the ordinance now and add the dusk till dawn and then tell them to go back and change it.
But if we put it in and somebody comes in for a building permit, if we get it in before, that was why we did it, was because we knew that there were certain things that hadn't happened.
I just want to make it clear, we do not have dusk to dawn in there.
But even some of the other things, we have the light, the shielding and the.
Right.
yeah.
I can bring that up to them and say this was passed in January. This is the copy we have. Anything after January should adhere to these rules, but I can't tell them dusk to dawn.
But if we all of a sudden came up, we amended our existing lighting ordinance and we said no dusk to dawn,
Well,
we as a town.
I don't think the dusk to dawn would be such an issue if they point their lights down and don't have the cheap contractor grade lights.
Well, and have the
in front.
ability, but the issue is dusk to dawn, they can't even turn it off, Ed, that's the issue.
Don't know that for
They
sure.
have to have-
We
each
don't
of
know
those
that for
houses
sure.
has to have
Well,
the ability.
I would have thought that, but every single person had them on. That's why, that was just too coincidental. If
They
they're,
may not be on a timer, they may be on a switch, so you go to bed with it on, and it's on until you wake up.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to them then having to install a timer switch or something maybe after the fact. But they have to have the ability,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
ask.
I just thought it was strange that, I mean, if you go by, I mean, again, I didn't go knock on doors, but when you drive up and down the street, the fact that nobody had their lights off, that just seemed weird, that every single person had them
Folks
on.
that come from the city just have their lights on all the time. So I don't know where they're coming from, but
I guess that first
You know.
phase of the development that's already there, they have nice berm in there, you know, you don't have to drive in there to look at it, you know, I don't see it from the freeway or see it from Gulf Road when I drive past it at night. But like I said, as this development goes east and north, and that the fact that there is less of a buffer along Elmhurst, they need to be neighborly with their lighting, because I'm not having this discussion in a year or two with their lights.
The issue is that the lighting ordinance is in your subdivision, is in the subdivision code. It's
Correct.
not in the zoning code. So when someone applies for a building permit, no one's looking at that. That's not something that Mike would look at or
Okay, then that's
enforce because it's the way that the ordinance reads is that a deed restriction was supposed to have been recorded at the time of the plat recording that says, here's the lighting code. And then it's up to each individual owner, when they sign and get their lot, they see the deed restriction, it comes up in that with the closing docs that says, here's what your lights are supposed to be, and that's it. So if you really, really want to enforce it on the future houses in that development or in all town of Delafield homes, it needs to be in your zoning code. With a new home, all lighting needs to be downlit.
Well, and again, I was for that. I think any new construction, we do need to look at that, but I think there was other board members that didn't feel we should, so we thought this was the way to do it. It was just to get it in where the subdivision is, so at least we are,
But that's the problem with going back. You can't, like, the subdivision approval is done.
Plat for these future phases,
That's
though, correct.
Correct. So with the new plats, that deed restriction will be done, it will go on, and, you know, we can definitely call Brian Lindgren tomorrow and talk to him about it and just, you know, kind of remind him that he did agree to adhere to any lighting ordinance and future homes, you know, see what they're willing to do. Maybe they'll be willing to upgrade some of the existing ones, maybe. Probably not, but
they're
it's
not
worth-
shielded, yeah, they're not shielded, and
worth a ask.
Well, or at least
Yeah.
can they point downward?
What's that?
Can they point downward if they upgrade them?
Right,
Right?
yeah. So I think there's things that we can at least ask and then say moving forward, you know, it's probably a discussion with Harbor Homes, really. They're the ones that are
I was
building
just gonna
them.
say, it's, yeah, I feel, I was thinking to myself, these residents probably didn't even know, they just said, okay, fine, whatever you want, I mean, people, and it's mostly, it's right, because they don't understand.
Yeah, yep.
so it's not even
I think
that their
we
fault,
can
but-
have Mike to at least try to push for the new homes under this old phase to take a look at that when people are pulling their electrical permits, like what lighting fixtures are you using and are they down? I don't think there's any harm in that. If it gets a lot of pushback, like point to where that is, then
There's
maybe
plenty of
there's a
builders
problem,
that do
but-
it right and know. And if, I mean, so then maybe then the builders just need to get the list of other light fixtures besides the cheap grades, ones that they're doing. They're all the same. They're basically all matching.
Sure. I mean, that makes sense. My suspicion is that Harbor Homes and Newman have no idea that the ordinance actually got passed, that no one actually told them that it's in place.
I got to say too, you know, I went to the City of Delafield meeting last week, and I was impressed with, you know, a couple of the things that they were looking at, how proactively they were referencing dark sky. They were worried about their neighbors. They were like, before they were passing things, they were discussing lights, and that was on their radar. I was just for anybody watching and for my fellow board members, I was very impressed that they were as a group discussing it. So we should too.
Has a very robust shoreline lighting ordinance, so, and commercial
City
ordinance.
ended up approving that giant lighting and didn't adhere to dark sky at all, so I don't know how seriously they took it. So,
Interesting.
For the soccer field or, yeah. They said they said it was dark sky.
yeah, I knew, yeah,
Rated,
whatever
yeah.
the term was.
We'll see when it's up.
Is there anything we can do about the deer?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
bad.
exactly, yeah, it's awful.
It's bad.
So,
What about it?
yeah, they don't have anything in here that would allow us to go on their private property. We've already approached them and told them about our deer management program, but they insist that they already have their own hunters on the property that are taking care of things, which I would argue that they are not.
No.
We will continue to try again to get them to allow us on there for August, but it is private property and we would have to get their expressed approval, so. We're very limited on what we can do there.
I'm going to make a motion to table this until we can adequately address the lighting and the deer issue.
The lighting and the what, I'm sorry?
The deer issue.
Okay.
And the construction, restrictions on construction access, some of the plantings, I mean, those are just a few other things, but I'm good with tabling things till we can handle some of it.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second to table. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's tabled.
Got it.
Item 9B, request from Wisconsin Heroes Outdoor for temporary rent release and potential early lease termination for the former fire station number 2 up off of Highway C.
We do have somebody from Wisconsin Hero in the audience, if you have any questions for the gentleman. We had to push this one back because of the weather last time, and then Ms. Sawyer could not make it to the last meeting, so this gentleman is here today.
Hello, my name is James Cocroft. I'm on the
Rebecca,
board of
thank you.
Wisconsin Heroes Outdoors. And I'm just here to kind of, if you have any questions about what's going on, so I can explain it to you, what's happening with everything.
Something I'd read that said 2016, so this is a little bit of a naive question. So Wisconsin Hero is all around the state?
It was founded in 2016, but local folks that's in this area is what it is. I live in Jefferson, Wisconsin, so.
So there's other ones in Jefferson, there's one here,
No,
so there's
it's
other
just
places.
one headquarters.
Oh, it's just, okay.
Yeah, just one group, a nonprofit, and they service first responders and military, like military or veterans and their families, to kind of break the monotony of coming back from deployment, so like this here. So they can go kayaking, fishing, and sometimes bear hunting, so like this here. We use things throughout the state. We go throughout the state, different places throughout the state. And what's going on is right now, with everything that was happening in the economy, so this here, we applied for certain grants, and so this here, and they didn't get approved this last year. So that's why we're having some type of difficulty with the financial side of things. With that being said, we are scaling back what we started before, because at first, when it started in 2016, it was like small groups, and as different conflicts and things happening around the world, we kind of expanded out a bit, and then now we're going to go ahead and bring it back into the wholesome, holistic type approach to do our mission. I'm actually one of the success stories of Wisconsin Hero Outdoors, because I joined in 2020 with the big bass battle. Is how I got involved with them, and since then I've been volunteering with them and so this here. And a lot of things, everything that we do with the veterans itself and first responders is all free. So we usually apply for grants throughout the state and get some funding from the WDVA, Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs. But for some reason, this past couple of years, it's been kind of wonky with these grants and so this here. So I think we just have to change our game up on that, and kind of work on a better way of reaching out for fundraising. So like this here, the Big Bass Battle is one of the big fundraising events that they have, and the Big Bass Battle itself has 10 military folk or first responders that go, and some anglers help them go out fish and so like this here. Out of a 50 group, armada, if you want to call it, at the Golden Mass over at Akachi Lake over there. What we're trying to do now is, as I said before, we're trying to go ahead and downsize a bit and trying to figure out how to make this more sustainable with everything that's going on as far as things like that. We are applying for different grants, like the Charles E. Kubley grant, so it's here to receive monies to be able to financially be stable. And then we're going in, looking at some things and selling some of our equipment to kind of downsize, because at one point, you know, we were doing this, we kind of did some overreach. You know, we overreached our capacity. And so with that being said, we have one person that we actually that's not working with us anymore, but we have one person that's taking all these different groups out. And with everything that's going on right now in the country and overseas, it's very important to be able to have this type of mission to help these individuals. I myself served in the military for 20 years. I was in the Navy for 20 years. I retired 19 years ago. And I suffered from PTSD, insomnia, so it's here. And this actually helped me a great deal in my life. And it was a benefit for my family as well. So I'm here to represent Wisconsin Here Outdoors, just to kind of put a face to the mission itself. I actually work at UW Milwaukee. I'm the assistant director of the Military Veterans Resource Center, and I service 1,400 military-related students. And we use Wisconsin Here Outdoors as well to help some of our students as well, because over the past year, we've had about 300 military-related students deployed. We have some that's over in Saudi Arabia and all the different places right now. So it's very important for us to keep our mission going, and that's why we're trying to find some relief to be able to reorganize and then do it better, because as people open up organizations, whatever they do, they have these grander ideals, a lot of different things, and then as time went on, we kind of didn't adjust to it. So now we're working smarter, not harder this time. So that's what we're trying to do now.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
said you applied for a grant, an
Yeah.
additional grant?
Grants from Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs. They usually give out. It depends on the amount that they have. A few times we received $25,000 over this year, but the past couple of years we didn't receive it.
Right.
And then for the Charles E. Kubley, that's something new that we're going to apply for this year. That's all about mental health and the stigma of mental health, so it's here to kind of help people. So we're going to be applying for that one as well.
So you're going to apply for it?
Yes, for the
Okay.
Charles E. Kubley, yes, ma'am.
Is there any timeline as far as when you're going to know if you're getting the grant? I just want to understand your financial situation a little better.
Okay. For the Charles E. Kubley, that's a year-round thing that you apply for. But the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, we actually go on working with one of our accountants to look at to apply for the grants now, because it's 2026. So based upon what happened before, to 2025 is why we got into this financial situation, because when we applied for those grants then, we didn't get approved.
Okay, so the 2025 grant request was not,
Correct. Yes,
But
ma'am.
it was filed.
It was filed, yes, ma'am.
Filed.
Yes, ma'am.
seems like you're on top of things when it comes to like your yearly requests for
ma'am.
grants.
Yes, ma'am.
And when are you going to find out? Do you know?
We don't know, because once we submit it, it goes to a committee and
Yeah.
the whole process. Usually it comes in the summertime. It's
Okay.
usually when it comes.
Did we ever, again, this was before me, did we ever do any rent abatement with this organization when they first started?
In terms of,
Did we ever, did they ever get free rent? Did we,
No.
or have they
No.
been paying? Okay, I wasn't on when they started, okay. So it's always, but you've always been paying, okay.
right,
And I wasn't here during that time either, so I don't know.
Yeah.
that-
What's the
that
size
answer.
of the building again, Michelle?
about 36,000 square feet, or 3,600 square feet, sorry.
Okay.
I'm like, whoa.
3,600 square
Are
feet.
we able to market the property while they're still under their current agreement?
No,
No, we
no,
cannot.
because their agreement runs, and we would be able to market it if they, I think they have first right of refusal too, to
We-
end renewal.
Even if we have an agreement with them in place, because they want to try and get out of this,
Right.
right? So if we can rent it before the end of their agreement.
Kind of like a sublet is what you're talking
Yeah,
about?
I mean,
No,
ultimately,
no,
that would,
No, they want out, so we need to, along with what you were saying, we just need permission to,
we need
go ahead, you
permission to
finish, and then
market.
I want to, yep.
Yeah, I mean, we just want to be able, can we get people in there to look at the property for potential renters, where we could either do a sublet, or we could terminate their agreement and get someone in sooner?
I mean, we'd have to ask the town attorney if he would indicate that we could modify the language for that. But as it stands right now, we don't have any kind of language in there that would allow us to do that.
Wait, so I want to understand this clearly. Are you guys requesting to break the lease
Yeah,
and
they
move
want-
out?
Yeah,
Or are you asking for free rent the rest of the year?
They're asking for both
Rent
right now.
through the end of '26 and allow them the option to terminate their current lease early.
Yes.
Which
And
means
so-
when, then?
March of 27 is when
Okay,
it's due again.
March, and
Yeah.
are you may not be familiar with the inner workings, but just so the board can be aware, are you familiar with the annual revenues that the group has brought in on an annual basis over, just maybe the last 2 or 3 years? Just to give the group an idea of,
Yeah, Snapshot was at one point, it was some fundraising. It was over $170,000, but that was with donations, sponsorships, and grants. And then we used a majority of that doing, well, paying our rent, of course.
sure,
And-
and then the excursions and
Yes.
everything else?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. That way you get a more full picture of what kind of revenue they're doing over
Right.
there.
And over, like in 2024, we did over 200 plus veteran and first responder events. Well, served over 200 plus participants. We hosted about 30 plus statewide events as well, because we go up to Camp American Legion, we go up to Lake Winnebago, stuff like this here, things like that. And at that time, we also had 2 part-time employees and then 5 volunteer board members, which I'm a volunteer board member, so.
I read this, and I want to first of all say, I support what you do, and I don't want to by any means show any disrespect for your organization.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
what I read this as a town board member, I feel I want to, I know we can't come up with some options. I feel like we're already being very generous in the fact that we're doing stuff that most leases you don't do. The lawn cutting and, I mean, the snow removal, that's like, you don't usually see that in leases. And I know part of our job is to be community-minded, but we're also a business.
I understand.
We're not a bank. And so there's really, I don't feel like, I feel strongly that we, again, no offense, but what I'm going to propose we do is, don't come to us to be the bank. You need to pay your rent. So go back to those donors. And I'm familiar with the Kubi, and hopefully you'll get another grant. But in the meantime, figure out a way to pay your rent. Go to the bank and get a loan, go back to your donors and just say, hey, we're in a position, we're in a lease, you need to pay your rent with the town, and then give us permission. We can put that in our writing to get in so that we can show the property, so we'll let you out of your lease, but we need to get, assuming that we can find somebody to take it over. So we do need to amend the language that would allow us to get in. So those are the 2 things I think we should do. I just think we owe it to our townspeople. We can't just be giving away free rent. I'm sorry that you're in Hard's Way, and I feel for you. But I think there's our other generous people, and you've mentioned references of donors, that we can go back to those to help you get through this. Let us try to go in. We can try to release it. And then I think we need to really look at our next time we do a lease, because some of the stuff we are included is very generous of us, which I don't think necessarily be the case. So that's my take. So it's really option 7. So figure out a way to pay your rent, and but let us in to come try to help you get out of your lease. Anybody else have comments on that one? I just don't feel like we should be.
I know. I think your outreach should be more focused on, getting fundings from your donors. And I'm aware this building was basically it's been rented to you guys for a lower rent amount already as it is.
Okay, I understand.
It used to be a fire station, correct? Okay.
So, does anybody have a discussion? I mean, I happen to motion my idea, but please discuss it if you have any other thoughts on that. I just feel like we need to be fiscally responsible.
Well, I was gonna go with option 2 there, to require the Wisconsin Heroes to provide the grant denial documentation, the financial statements, the program participation data, and the timeline for our financial hardship. I think when it comes to what the future of this building would be if the Heroes leaves this building, would be a town board action, because we were very prescriptive in what we allowed in that building. And it could be a slippery slope if we just throw it out to the open market of what somebody could potentially do there.
Can you elaborate on that? Because that was my question. If they move out and we're finding somebody else to lease it, what are we limited to then? When did we put something restrictions in? Who could go in there?
Not necessarily restrictions there, but I think that we were very, as a board, we're very cautious of what businesses or what people, if we throw it out in the open market, we're going to get all kinds of ideas, and we're going to have to decide whether
They're the right fit?
that idea is a right fit for that location and that neighborhood. So, I mean.
I see what you mean.
I don't think it's as easy as, we throw it out on.
Right.
And market it, and, I think we need to make sure that what is there is compatible with the neighborhood.
I mean, what you're doing is, yeah, I agree, it's a great fit, but if it's not fiscally responsible, then I think we need to start over. I think there's only so nice we can be.
I mean, do we need more time to think about this and then go with option 2?
Do we have to confirm an option right now if we're asking them to go back and to push harder with?
That was my suggestion, is do nothing right now.
Yeah.
As another idea here, option 4 does get us to the finish line. Okay, option 4 is just restructuring the way they're gonna pay in full.
Right.
They may be out for a year or two before we're paid in full, but we're gonna get our full revenue.
But what's in our budget, though, to have it now?
But
But I'd be willing to
I
do a payment
understand.
plan. I think that's a reasonable.
This is the
gesture.
risk you take, though, as the town, when you bring in a group of this nature as well, when you're allowing certain entities to come in, to do their work here. I agree with you. I'd like the town to get to see their money.
I would too.
And, right.
I'm feeling responsible with my own bills,
and-
so.
No, but we appreciate the
that.
mission you're
Yeah.
carrying. you're carrying out,
I do see it as a problem that we'll just say an average of $150,000 worth of revenue is being brought in, and we can't cover our $2,500 a month rent, which I think is kind of your point.
Right.
There is money coming in, and the management hasn't been there to make sure that it's going the right places. So, I don't think we need to be finite with an answer. I think we need to work together. I think you guys need to go back to the board, your board, to say, hey, it's not going to be that simple. Let's try and resolve this another way. I think we do need to talk with our legal team. We want to get in there right away so we can start marketing it right away, with a possible
Understood.
early solution for January. And we bring this back up in a month or 2 months and
See what options we have?
right.
So I mean, I'm in agreement with all that. So we're not really motioning to do anything different except for advising staff to see what we need to do to be able to have access to the property to assist you in.
Market the property to essentially let them out and bring somebody else in.
Right,
That's
but
what I'm
again, we
asking.
still have to accept that applicant. It's not like just because we're letting him in, it's definitely going to still be our position. If it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit, but at least it's helping them exit their lease early, which is what they're asking.
they still have to make
potentially.
payments currently.
But we still need, we're
I
asking
think,
them to.
I think them as the heroes need to come to us and say, can we come up with a payment plan, or this is what we can pay, to make the town whole. I think they need to come back to us with a plan.
Okay.
And in the
Heroes
meantime, we need to
plan.
work with our legal team and understand what our options are to, market the property if they're gonna get out of their lease early.
Okay.
Usually it's just an amendment to the lease that allows us to have access.
Got it.
More importantly, thank you for your service.
Thank
sir.
you.
you.
Appreciate
for
it.
your
Thank you so
service.
much.
So we're not making a motion, we're
Oh,
just tabling it?
Tabling
for
it or just
further-
motioning to have staff do what we just talked about?
I'll just be bringing it back to a future meeting. Yeah.
So no motion
Do you
needed.
have, sir, do
Don't
you,
think so.
but you feel comfortable going back with, some? We kind of gave you a few little action items to work on? Are you?
Yes, ma'am.
You got that? Okay.
Yeah.
Again, thank you, but for coming.
what I'm writing down
We can
right
try to
now,
work
so-
together.
If you need to replay the meeting, it's available on YouTube.
Okay. Thank you.
Good plug.
Announcements and planning items. There's a fire board meeting next Wednesday here at 5 o'clock. At that point, they will elect new officers of the fire board. The town board meeting's Tuesday, May 26th, and there's a plan commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, June 2nd. I look for a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you.
7:52.
Thanks again for